First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. For all this I considered in my heart, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. So, as he said in the first part, right, the righteous, those that are following the righteousness of the Lord, and the wise and their works are in the hand of the Lord, right? They're under the protection of the Lord and ultimately under the control, right, of the Heavenly Father, because that's what the hand symbolizes. So it says in the NLT, this too I carefully explored. Even though the actions of godly and wise people are in the hands of God, no one knows whether God will shew them favor, right? And that's the no man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. Let's also actually pull this one here side by side. Verse 2, it says, all things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean and to the unclean, to him that sacrificeth and to him that sacrificeth not. As is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth as he that feareth an oath. So it says here, the same destiny ultimately awaits everyone, whether whether righteous or wicked, good or bad, ceremonially clean or unclean, religious or irreligious. Good people receive the same treatment as sinners, and people who make promises to God are treated like people who don't. Now, this isn't in terms of the lifestyle, right? Because we know those that are wicked, there's a difference in how the Lord deals with them than he does with the righteous. But the ultimate fate, which is the fact that they all have to come to the grave at some point, is what they mainly have in common. Verse 3, there is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, and there is one event unto all, and that's death. Yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. So those, the sons of men, the heart meaning their mind, their intentions is full of evil, right? Wicked deeds, and madness in their heart while they live, because they don't live after the ways the Lord has instructed, us to live. Okay, and after that they go to the dead. So they do all this wickedness, all this mayhem, all this mischief, and then the end goal is what? Death. NLT, it says, it seems so tragic that everyone under the sun suffers the same fate. That is why people are not more careful to be good. Instead, they choose their own mad course, for they have no hope. There is nothing ahead but death anyway. For to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion, right? There is hope only for the living. As they say, it's better to be a live dog than a dead lion, right? Because a lion, we know in comparison to a dog, is greater, it's stronger, it's more dangerous. But a dead lion, even a lamb, you would say is better than a dead lion because it's alive. Okay, at least it's living. That's why he said, the living, for him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. Because while you're living, you can actually do more than the dead. Verse 5, for the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. See, because if you're alive, yeah, you know you're going to die, but you're still alive, right? You can still do things. But he's saying here, the dead know nothing, meaning from the perspective of on the earth. Because we know what happens after you die, but this is from the perspective of being on the earth. The dead is as though they had not been, and they have no further reward, right? Neither have they any more a reward, because there's nothing more for them to gain in this life, considering that they're dead. For the memory of them is forgotten, right? Eventually, as time passes, you forget. Also, their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished, because those are all things that they both experienced and they did while living. But once they're dead, that's gone. Neither have they any more a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun, meaning that is on the earth. Because whoever it is that died, they're not being brought back to life, right? That vessel isn't coming back to life. So whether it was eating, working, drinking, whatever it was, they're not going to partake of that anymore while under the sun, right? Verse 7, it says, Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart, for God now accepteth thy works, right? So go ahead, eat your food with joy, and drink your wine with a happy heart, for God approves of this. So like, let me close this window. There's some noise over here. All right. And that's the you know, basically the gift of pleasures of life that the Lord has given to us. Verse 8, let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Right, so it says here, wear fine clothes with a with a splash of cologne. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun. Right, so the life the Lord has given you, you live happily, as it says, right, live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun, all the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, right? That's your reward. And in thy labor which thou takest under the sun, because at the end of the day, Solomon is saying, you you do all the things you do on earth. It's not like when you die, it's when you're going to be brought back to life in that same, time period, and then enjoy all the the fruits of your work or your labor. So for all the things that you labor for on the earth, there are also pleasures given on the earth that you can enjoy. Verse 10, um, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge. Device is like a plan, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. So while you're alive, whatever, you find your hands to do, whatever, you put your mind to, do it with all your strength. Because once you die, all that is gone, right? You can't work from the grave. You can't accumulate knowledge or wisdom from the grave. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift. Under the sun, once again, is on the earth. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. It says here in the NLT, I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race. That's what it means by the race is not to the swift. Because you may think, well, if you're fast, then and there's a race, then you're gonna win. If you're strong and there's a battle, then you're gonna succeed. But he's saying it doesn't always go. It's not like a 1+1=2 formula. And the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. So, you can have you can have the same cause, but it's not always going to yield the same effect. It is all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. Right? You can have, for example, you're running in a race, and the fastest person, maybe you're in second place, and then something happens, and maybe he pulls a hamstring, or pulls a muscle or pulls something while running, and then boom, he may have been the fastest, but time and chance. And all of a sudden, you from second place now take the victory over them. Verse 12, for man knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net. So like when you, from our perspective, when you go fishing, right, you throw the net into the water and you catch a whole bunch, suddenly, right, in a certain area, the fish that are swimming, they don't see that coming. That's why they get caught. So you don't know when your time is going to be. When the Lord says, okay, it's time for you to die, it's time for you to come back to the spirit world, just like those fish that are caught suddenly in that net. And as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. See, so likewise, just like a bird that's caught in a trap doesn't see it coming, likewise, certain evil times and things that come suddenly upon you, you don't always see them coming. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it. And there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. That's like, let's actually go into that word bulwarks. But these are like siege tools. Okay. It says here, yeah, a bulwark or siege works. Let's actually see if we can get an image of that. A bulwark for siege. Okay, definitely not that. Ancient warfare. I think we'll just settle for the definition then. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back. I think we saw it earlier. Okay, definitely not dealing with this. Siege, engines in warfare in Bible times. Good Lord. It says in biblical times, siege engines included battering rams, siege towers, and catapults. Were engineered for assaulting fortified cities and bulwarks, often used by Assyrian and Babylonian forces for breach defenses. These large wooden structures, often leather-covered, protected operators while they broke down gates and allowed soldiers to scale the walls. Let's see if they have it. Okay, so bulwarks or siege works. Attackers constructed their own defensive earthworks or bulwarks or ramps to secure their position while launching attacks against a fortified city. So there you go. So let's go back. So long story short, in this short story Solomon is telling, there is a city that is being besieged, right? Now there was found in it a small or a poor wise man, and he, by his wisdom, delivered the city. Yet no man remembered that same poor man. Go up a bit. We can just put this away now. So he ends up delivering the city, right, through his wisdom. You know, let's probably do this, let's do that. He, put this here, do this. And they do it, and the city's delivered. And yet nobody remembers him. Why? Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised. So he's looked down upon, and his words are not heard. Why? Because people regard, let's get a precept on this. So people regard what others say based on who they are or who they perceive them to be. Ecclesiastes 13 and 23. Let me go down a bit more. Verse 23, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. So they hype it up. Like he just said the wisest thing in the world. Why? Because of his status. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? So who even is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. So let him slip up and say one thing, and they're already quick to shut him up. Nah, yo, yeah, no. See? So that's along the lines of what Solomon is saying, because wisdom is still better than strength. However, based on who it's coming from, some don't even perceive it as wisdom. And it's kind of like how the Lord did it, right? He wrapped this valuable wisdom around us. and we are likened onto the poor man or poor men of society, So because you don't look like some, prestigious scholar or some famous pastor or some celebrity, people despise the wisdom that comes forth out of our mouths because they don't regard it as such because of our status. The words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. It says here, better to hear the quiet words of a wise person than the shouts of a foolish king. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much goods. Better to have wisdom than weapons of war, but one sinner can destroy much that is good. Yeah, through his folly. Like you've seen those time and time again, right? You like everything is set and it's just, maybe everybody who was told about the plan has to keep their mouth shut. And because of one idiot, okay, who goes and sells out, or he goes and, out of greed or out of whatever purpose it is, divulges that crucial information, now everything, comes downhill. So long story short, Solomon gives that short story to show that, wisdom is great, and it's very important and better to give heed unto the words of wisdom, but keeping in mind that the way that people operate in society is they look and judge based on the outward appearance. And that brings us to the end of the book of Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.